People over 35, what's something you genuinely miss that younger generations will probably never experience? The excitement of your new favorite song playing on the radio or MTV. Or waiting to hear at the top 9 at 9 on the local radio station. Calling into the radio station and waiting to hear if they play you talking to the DJ. Internet before corporate got hold of it was truly a Wild West era. I miss when internet fandom communities were built around teenage nerds who knew HTML and how to open a GeoCities domain. Edit. Since this is getting attention, any other young artists remember Oikakis? Yes, and particularly forums. I've still got IRL friendships that began on forums in the early aughts. I'll see that and raise you. I married someone I met on an AOL forum, then spent time with on MUDs, IRC, and Usenet. Had to take a leap of faith and a Greyhound cross country to meet in person. We recently celebrated our 20th anniversary, and we're not the only ones. Man, the old internet was just more fun. There was this sense of discovery when you found a niche website or community, like it was something unique and special, and there was more unique forms of expression out there. Now it's all TikTok and YouTube isn't even as good as it used to be. It makes me sad. One of the best sites was literally called StumbleUpon. It was basically if Reddit had an I'm feeling lucky button. People submitted sites and you clicked through a random assortment of them. You might also think of it as channel surfing for the internet, but I suspect people too young to know about StumbleUpon also don't know about channel surfing. When everyone watched a TV show at the same time in their individual households, and then came together to talk about it the next day. Pre-streaming services days. Commercials still sucked, but there was something magical about it. Commercial breaks were the signal start to a race to the bathroom, or to get snacks from the kitchen. They were no fun with how they broke up the movie show you were watching, but I kind of missed the urgency and challenge of it. Fret not. They're coming soon to all your favorite streaming services. That feeling of not being watched recorded. Yes, life before camera phones. You could get up to shenanigans as teenagers and not have to worry about it being recorded and then shared around the world. Think about all the time how teens are so different these days for this many reasons, but this reason is so huge. Finding a magazine with something you love on it, a band or an actor or whatever. Now if you love something you can immediately consume every piece of media on that thing, which is also cool. But I'll always miss turning the corner at the grocery store and seeing that Spin is doing an all-punk issue, or the Rolling Stone issue after Hunter Thompson died, and being like fuck yes. Edited to add, and the smell, the ink plus the paper and the perfume samples, incredible. Oh look, there's always stuff about popular band and other popular band, but now there's finally something regarding popular band I like. Wow, and then you bought that something. Slamming the phone down to end a phone call. On a very similar note, snapping a flip phone shut. I miss flip phones. The ultimate way to end the call. Life without social media. I honestly can't think of a net positive outcome of the invention of social media. It has tainted so many aspects of life. If it stayed as extended yearbooks online, it would be fine. Instead, they're ad platforms geared towards profit. If it were just profit, I'd be like whatever. They are manipulation engines to keep us glued to the screen permanently. It changes so many aspects of our daily existence. Definitely a huge net negative. Life without tech and everything, whole summers with just you in the backyard, alternating sometimes with friends and bicycles. Toy stores. Nothing beat the aisles and aisles of stuff at Toys R Us. Nothing beat going to Toys R Us with your Christmas birthday money. It was like having the world at your fingertips. For $70 you could live like a king. We didn't have to pay an exorbitant amount of money for concert tickets. Mid-90s Metallica tickets were under $30. I think I paid $20 to see Megadeth in '98. Probably about the price of a shitty beer at a venue now. Paid $15.95 at box office to see Rick Springfield in 1985. No other fees. Kept the ticket stub in my high school yearbook. I miss physical tickets. My wife gives me shit because I'm always keeping random stuff like museum maps. The physical item helps me trigger memories in a way looking though a photo scroll doesn't. Things built to last. More than that. Things were built to be fixed. We joke so much about how Gen Z doesn't know how to fix anything, but they've literally never owned anything they could fix themselves. Literally every single thing is use and throw. How are they supposed to learn? I remember in the 90s taking my boombox apart, finding out that a few cogs had chipped teeth, riding my bike to the neighborhood store, finding the right cog in a giant box of cogs and then fixing the boombox. It was a fun summer afternoon. I'm pretty good at fixing stuff, but I can't do anything if my phone breaks now. Or even my car. You need specialized tools for a fucking oil change. Seriously, you can't get on the younger generations for not trying to fix things when manufacturers have been going out of their way to make everything non-user serviceable for probably 30 years now. It used to be a reason to avoid a brand or product, now it's ubiquitous. There's no damn reason for my air filter to require a security head Torx bit, but here we are. Remember when you used to be able to get clothes that would last 10, 15, even 20 years? And not just the high-end boutique stuff, either. You could get a cheap band tee at the mall in high school and still wear it on your 30th birthday. Cheap polyester fabrics that fall apart after 12 washes, no linings, unfinished edges, even fabric not cut on the bias. It's hard to find clothes these days that are actually constructed properly. Being able to be unreachable. It's hard to really get alone time or time to relax when you have a phone in you all the time and you can always be reached. Yes, and along with this, if you say you're going to meet someone somewhere, you can't bail at the last minute. Like if you make a commitment, you gotta stick with it because the other person wouldn't be able to be reached to cancel. Living my coyote ugly dream, dancing on bars thinking I'm hot shit but likely being an absolute embarrassment to myself, and there being no video evidence of it. Creating my own ringtone on Nokia Composer. Having a Nokia brick phone with Snake on it that you could blast into the sun and still take calls on. Not being addicted to a phone. It was a meme that teenage girls were addicted to talking on the phone and would fight the family for it. And later whoever was using the modem. Fancier houses had multiple lines. The feeling. All felt different before the internet came. Hell, even the old internet felt wildly different. If there was a website dedicated to something, it was a passion project, and there was exactly zero profit motive involved. Yes, I agree to that. The time before 2005, the early internet smelled and tasted like unlimited opportunities and freedom, exploration and joy. Now it is mostly dead corporate wasteland, it feels. Internet being a brief thing you did, not a thing lived constantly in your life. Going on AIM and chatting with friends felt like actual chats, and brief for 30 minutes. You'd hang out in real life. The internet was just like watching TV. It was just something small and neat. Everything is so digital now. I have a friend who has kids and they like hang out online. When we were in middle school and high school, we'd hang out in real life and only talk online as like a separate thing. It's probably how people in the 70s and 80s chatted on the phone later in the day with friend. What were you doing? I was surfing the internet. Now we scroll, we don't surf. Lack of knowing what's going on. The 24/7 news cycle is one of the worst things to happen to our society. Why do I need to know about a murder in Texas when I live on the East Coast? Constantly being hit with terrible, horrific news 24/7. It's just killing everyone's mental health. Even local news will do this. I feel bad for the victims, but give me a segment about the teacher, librarian, garbage man of the day. I'd rather hear about unsung heroes in my area. Show some positive news, please. Learning pop culture history from VH1. Pop-up video. Blockbuster. I remember going and putting in my pizza order. Then going next door to Blockbuster, picking out movies and games. Then going to get my pizza. Heading home and enjoying the evening. It was an event, an experience. Now I ask my kids if they want to watch a movie. They say they have already watched it on their phone a few days ago. I'm only 30 and I miss Blockbuster. I miss physical media in general. I miss actually owning things and not needing to subscribe to everything. The joy of getting off a plane and having someone right there at the gate waiting for you. Spending all day outside with my siblings until mom hollered for us to come in for dinner. I don't think I would be comfortable leaving my child for a full day outside with no supervision. Or better yet, using the street lights as your alarm to go home. Can I ask why? I don't have children, but I'm always wondering why people who grew up with that sort of freedom are afraid to let their own children run free. I would say twofold. 1. The amount of fear and worry pumped into new parents is crazy now, even though statistically things are much safer. 2. Judgment from others. Like the lady that let her 12-year-old take the subway and people collectively lost their minds and wanted her child taken away. Knowing where your friends are because their bikes are on the front lawn. Life before 9/11. The world was still far from perfect then, but I felt that the innocence of my childhood died that day and the reality that the world is a dangerous and unpredictable place really started to sink in. I feel like we've been in a downward spiral ever since. Yep, the optimism that carried over from the 90s went right down the drain. The entire world changed. That first sentence is extremely accurate. Stuff from the 80s could be felt in the early 90s, including music, style, and overall attitude. After 9/11, it was all fear. 9/11 did not kill that world, Bush and Cheney using it to turn the US from semi-trustworthy guarantor of world order to vengeful, fearful, arbitrary killer on a mass scale. That did it. There's no Trump without George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. Osama bin Laden achieved his goals, not by destroying the Twin Towers, but by turning America into its antithesis. I feel this way too. I was 18 on 9/11, grew up in one world and became an adult in another. My parents had absolutely no idea where I was, outside of school anyway. They had no way to contact or track me. I would just roam around the countryside playing with friends. Don't get a girl pregnant, no fights, and don't die. I try my damnedest to let my daughters live like this. Edit. The numbers of DMs I got congratulating my girls for not getting anyone pregnant raffle. My 13-year-old son doesn't yet have a phone, and there is something very right about not knowing where he is and being unable to contact him. It seems like an important part of the child-parent psychological separation process to me. Some of my friends have trackers on their kids' phones so they know where they are 24/7. I find that very weird. You've got to let go and trust. Handwritten letters. College student checking in. I still write letters and send postcards, all in cursive. There may be dozens of us. Wake up early on weekends to watch cartoons and record some of them. Transformers, Denver the Last Dinosaur, Tom Sawyer, and many others. Edit. I'm amazed and happy by how many people remember Denver. Now I had to add the music to my playlist. Thank you. Saturday morning cartoons. A bowl of Captain Crunch and some Smurfs. And the roof of your mouth nearly dripping blood. Doing research with strictly books, newspapers, etc. I loved having a ton all opened up and handwritten notes. Spending hours at the library. Listening to whole albums, not just singles on an app. You can still do that though. I do it all the time. Yes. And the feeling of buying a new album, then taking it home and reading the liner notes while you listen to it. The 90s, it's like the world peaked for 10 years. Matrix was so right. After the fall of the Berlin Wall, it felt like the world was marching in the right direction. The hope and optimism felt good. Y'all remember all-night skates? We'd literally spend 12 hours straight in rollerblades. Everyone used to do a lot more physical activities that were social in nature. Flashlight tag. I loved looking forward to summer nights with the neighborhood kids running and hiding in the dark. Now if someone sees some teenagers running around at night, it's a guarantee 911 call. Flashlight tag and ghost in the graveyard were summer night staples. Now it's all HOAs and uppity NIMBYs with their Ring cameras yelling at kids to get off their lawns and or calling the cops. Ugh. Going to Radio Shack for electrical components and kits. Everything is online now. I miss everyone watching the same thing, at the same time, so you could talk about it the next day. We'll never have TV shows with huge ratings where everyone tunes into the finale of MASH at the same time again. The spontaneous joking that happens when a group of friends sit around without cell phones to distract them. The arcade. Putting 2 quarters on the glass indicating you've got next. Watching this one dude beat Mortal Kombat 2 on just 2 quarters. Sears catalog before Christmas. As a kid, the toy section and the women's underwear sections were always the most anticipated. Getting up at 8 a.m. during summer vacation, grab a Pop-Tart and leave the house for an adventure with any of the other neighborhood kids, up to elbows in muddy water catching crayfish and frogs, building forts in the woods. When we were hungry, someone's mom would make sandwiches and then off we go, play baseball in an unbuilt lot. Come home when the street lights start to come on. No cell phones. Most advanced technology people had were cassette-based answering machines. The rest of us had a pencil and paper next to the phone to leave a message who called. Newspapers, especially, I confess, reading the comics. It was how I started every morning. Also loved getting the big Sunday edition and spending all morning reading it. The Sunday newspaper had the best comics as well. When I was a kid, I just walked to my friends' houses and knocked on the door and said, "Can so-and-so come out to play?" And they would. Dating. Meeting each other organically. The old-fashioned way. The internet has ruined dating. I literally don't know how to date outside the internet. It was easy in school because we were all forced to be there. But once I graduated, how am I supposed to meet anyone? Everyone at work is either too immature or already in a relationship. My hobbies are indoors, video games, writing, etc. I'm married now, but it was from weeding out a million guys from Tinder Bumble until my eventual husband left his long-time relationship and one of his friends convinced him to get on Tinder. I'm gonna disagree. I'm 36 and I've been in several relationships with people I would have never, ever met without online dating. It also has taken the guesswork out of dating. You know the other person is single and open to dating just by being there. Going up to a stranger when you have no idea if they're single, straight or gay, or even interesting in dating right now just seems intrusive, and as a guy who is usually expected to make the first move, it takes the anxiety out of the whole experience. You aren't lying, now it's the swipe life. Walking down the street collecting your mates along the way to go hang out. The thrill of picking up the home phone and it's your crush calling you, and the disappointment of picking up and it's Aunt Beatrice asking for your mom instead. Caller ID has ruined that. Leaving the house and being absolutely free. No phone. Nobody knows where I am. They just have my word, and that's it. It was glorious. The ability to be in public without having to worry about some random a-hole filming you and putting it on the internet. That kind of privacy we will never get back. Walking around the mall. Politics that isn't channeling the WWE. People not expecting you to be into politics the same way they are. People not expecting politics to be entertaining. Trick or treating until 9 p.m. And making most or all of your costume. Not just picking something off a rack and throwing it on 2 minutes before you go out. Planning what you wanted and how to do the makeup effects weeks in advance. Peace of mind. There was a lot to distract us in the 90s and 80s, but nowhere near the levels now. You could go off and do your thing, and didn't feel like you were missing out on something else. The beauty of being disconnected. Things being special. When a popcorn party at school was something to look forward to, or a personal pizza motivated you to read a book. Back when Pizza Hut had the greatest pizza ever. Drooling face. I think what the younger generation misses is the ability to throw together a social occasion. You were basically forced to learn how to call some people up, figure out a place to get together, and to have a party for no reason whatsoever. In that sense, I think the internet has served to socially isolate ourselves from one another. People seem way too holed up at home. You tell someone a place to be in a time, sometimes weeks in advance, and you trust them to show up. And they trust you to show up. People will often push back on this and pretend as if virtual interactions are just as good because of video chats. They absolutely aren't, and it's as if people don't remember everyone endlessly bitching about that very thing during COVID. But what's more, people will then say something about how great it is that it means they get to have community with far-flung strangers who share their niche interests, and that they have the ability to tailor-make their social circle. That's a positive idea in theory and can even have some positive elements in practice, but in reality it tends to make people antisocial and uncompromising and limits their opportunity to grow and gain new knowledge experiences. And that's to say nothing of how it contributes to people being isolated within their own communities and untrusting of people who are different from them. And finally, the extra dark side of it all is that the teenage kid who got a little too curious about Nazis and went through a really shitty phase when he was 17 is now able to be connected with all the other shitty, angry Nazis, and that phase becomes his whole identity into adulthood. That's how the fucking Capitol gets stormed. Social media when it was AIM and MySpace. MySpace was the best. So customizable. Midnight releases for video games. I'm not quite 35 yet, but this is my answer. When I say midnight releases, I mean having to wait in line at the actual store for the clock to roll over before you can get the game. Most of the time, it was a party and full-on experience on its own. The GTA 5 midnight release, I went to hire a DJ for the event, and they were giving out free burgers and hot dogs. Midnight releases for new albums too. I went to the one for Korn's Untouchables at the local multimedia store, closed at least a decade now. Fresh driver's license, long line of like-minded people, unwrapping the cellophane in the parking lot and throwing it into the Discman with the cassette tape adapter that played through my crappy Volvo, listening to the whole thing right there. Genuinely excited for technology changes. Going from small tube TVs and monitors to flat screen was like something out of science fiction. Same with mobile phones, tablets, and laptops. Now it's all pretty much normal to have these things and constant data and information. It was stuff we dreamed of. No phone in the last decade has changed my life the way the first iPhone did. I'm not sure if there will be another huge technology change again. We went from barely functional dial-up to gigabit fiber to the home in a 30-year span. Briefly before the phones, we had the amazement of getting that first iPod or Zune and being able to retire our Discman that ate batteries and always skipped. Learning tricks and secrets in games, then telling your friends or being told from a friend so you can't wait to get home and see it. Now game secrets are leaked before the game even drops. When fast food was actually really cheap and tasted good. Now it's either watching TV live, no pausing, no rewinding. The show you have been waiting weeks for is finally on, and it begins at 8 p.m. sharp. So you and your siblings gather the snacks and fluff the pillows and pile onto the couch, and at 7:59 p.m. you giggle and squeal, and then it starts and you are all dead silent while the show is on, and there is a commercial break, and you all let out a breath you've been holding in since the show started, and then you all spin theories about what is going to happen next, and someone runs to the bathroom, taking the stairs two at a time so they are back before the commercial break ends, and when the show comes back you are all dead silent again, and your brother who ran to the bathroom has to hurdle over the dog and the coffee table and the pile of pillows to get back on the couch in time. And when it is over you just cannot believe you have to wait a whole week to see what happens next, and that lovely anticipation gets you through all the chores and the homework and the thunderstorms, etc., etc. And then the night comes around again, and you and your siblings are yet again bonding over this TV show experience. TV just isn't like that anymore, and I really miss when it was. If you missed Thursday night's episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, that was it. Maybe you'd catch it months later in syndication if you were lucky. No rewinding, no streaming, no spoilers to dodge because everyone watched at the same time. Don't get me wrong, I love the convenience of streaming, but I miss looking forward to something, and that tiny bit of pressure to be there when it happened. That feeling's hard to replicate. Honorable mention to strolling through Blockbuster on Friday evening, getting a pack of smokes, slice of pizza and a drink for $5. A pizzeria by me had the high school lunch special of 2 slices and a soda for $5. An absolutely star-filled sky. I don't know why this made me think of it, but also windshields full of bugs after a long drive. Now I don't have any on my windshield, and that makes me happy I'm not killing bugs, but makes me really sad concerned that there aren't as many bugs to hit. Ditto paper in school. I haven't smelled that bluish-purple ink in like 35 years. I was once given a worksheet that wasn't a purple blurry mess, and was so glad that someone had upgraded to a new technology, or maybe the textbook came with them. I could finally clearly read everything and not have words cut off or basic be unreadable. Only to find out I had destroyed my teacher's original mimeograph. Sitting as a family on a Sunday night watching Wild Kingdom, then sharing a big bowl of popcorn watching Wide World of Disney. Owning your media and products, and not perpetually renting the right to use them. Being unreachable. I'm 37, and I miss riding my bike miles away in the morning with my best friend and coming back home around sunset. That's a big one. Children can't be unaccompanied anymore for seemingly any reason. That sense of exploration and independence in the early years is just gone for younger generations. Sending away for free stuff in the mail with Essays and Columbia House CDs. I miss when the phones weren't available and had to communicate face to face. And when you left your house, you were free to just focus on whatever you were doing and whoever you were with. Burning your own CD. Or your own cassette tape. Events that are actually enjoyed in real time rather than through the lens of their phone. National parks not overly crowded. Used to never need a reservation to enter a park. Figuring out where your friends are hanging out based on the pile of bikes in the front yard. Trying to go to the bathroom, make a snack, and grab something during the commercial break. Being a street kid from dawn till dusk. Going to Blockbuster with my sibling on a Friday night with $20 and getting movies and snacks to last the entire weekend. Being unavailable. No phone. Summers under 85 degrees. When I was a kid, born in the late 50s, a really hot day was 85 degrees or higher. Never 100 degrees. It's so frickin' hot now. So very sorry, descendants. Many of our boomer generation refuse to believe in climate change, and you and your children, and your children's children will pay for our lack of education and right-wing misinformation. Fox News should be held accountable for so many horrible things. A world without social media. Being stopped in traffic in the summer, windows down, radio on. A car pulls up in the lane next to you playing the same time, and you exchange that grin with a stranger. People recording everything. The surveillance state doesn't need Big Brother watching when it has every moron with a phone recording everything everywhere. Lots of other things, too. We still had a bit of a democracy in the US before the Supreme Court gave the presidency to the war criminal W. Bush, and the Supreme Court got more stacked with people who would lie under oath to shove their religious ideology around abortion into the forefront instead of protecting democracy and our Constitution. I miss kinda having a country that wasn't complete shit. Online dating ruined dating by just meeting someone cute and hitting it off. Social media killed actual social life. The world got so much worse in many ways, maybe a tiny bit better in some. A general sense of togetherness and optimism. The offline world. Just being set free in the summertime. Be home when the streetlights go out. We were feral and free with no phones. Pre-social media. Going to Blockbuster to pick out a movie. Being able to be unreachable, either by work or by anyone, to have things like vacation time free of other people's expectations or demands. Before everyone having cell phones, playing outside with your friend group, and your parents calling your name 'cause it's time for dinner. Just being able to go out with no phones and parents trusting you to come home before dark. Not being able to be reached instantly via phone. Raves. They still exist to some extent, but not in the form they did in the 90s. Good times. Life without a smart dumb phone. Not having a phone on you ever. Getting 6 free wings when you order a beer. Being able to accompany my friends all the way to their departure gate at the airport, and see them actually take off. Bonus when their plane window was facing the airport windows and we could wave and or flip each other off. Being able to easily repair a lot of stuff, whether on my car or all of my tech. I can't even get to the fan belt or spark plugs in my car now, they're all covered up, and reaching the caps to top off the oil, coolant, and wiper fluid is difficult when it shouldn't be. I used to repair turntables, cassette players, CD players, radios, the old types of telephones. Now I can't fix jack's hit most of the time, and the kids in my fam don't even try. I hate how much money they have to dole out to replace things, and how often. And I hate that very few of them ever get to know the satisfaction of fixing your own stuff. TV shows airing weekly, so that all your friends who are into that show all watch at the same time, and if they missed it, tough luck because there's probably not a rerun for a long while. Then everyone is already caught up the next day when you all talk about it. Making mixtapes for friends and lovers by recording songs from the radio at exactly the right time. Demo discs from the official PlayStation magazine. Also, looking at the back for cheat codes. The vibe of McDonald's as a place marketed at kids. A place you want to have your birthday party at. That sense of hope and optimism about the bright and shiny future that was supposed to come after the year 2000. Waiting to evening after a certain time to make a long-distance call. Never knowing what your photos will look like 'cause we shot in analog films and had them developed. The thrill was legit. Edit, not knowing, well, we got to see 'em eventually. Television news journalism that was trying to share objective, valid information instead of appealing to your narrative bias to keep you feeding on their content, while they profit on advertising. Warehouse parties playing acid house and techno when it was new and unrefined. Making mixtapes. Actually waiting for your song to come on the radio, and then pushing record on your cassette player boombox combo. Reading the Sunday paper, comics, and the no comment section. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.